show, welcome to episode 454 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Tell you what, man, it's been a wild week. Had to deal with like certain family matters and stuff like that over the past week, but nothing really like serious or anything like that happened. But at the same point, I'm fairly glad that they've already gone through and stuff. So yeah, long story short and stuff like that. My dad kind of went to the hospital a couple of days ago, but nothing. Like, he's back home and stuff, nothing entirely, like, serious and stuff, but, yeah, it was a little bit of a scare, but at the same point, it wasn't, like, severe enough to where, like, life-threatening. Mm. But, other than that, though, it's like, this week has been pretty much weird. I mean, work has been work and stuff. It felt weird going back to work today after being off for the past couple of days, but, it felt like more like I was continuing on from Thursday, like from Wednesday or something, because I worked like 3 days this week, and it was so weird. Like, it felt like a Thursday to me today, where all that shit. But other than that, though, I have been playing a little bit more in terms of games like Haven. I've been downloading a couple other games on the Xbox Live Game Pass service and stuff. Actually, there's quite a few that were added this past week that I may have interest in playing a little bit of come down the line. Nice. But other than that, though, I purchased something on the PlayStation Store. I did manage to get something that I wanted to play. And what's kind of funny about that, it's like it's kind of like the thing you would expect me to buy, and that is the CastleVania Advance Collection.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes 100% sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
But dude, I just had a hankering to play those older Castlevania games. I mean, for God's sakes, they're the freaking games I used to play in high school. And plus that stealth announcement from the Nintendo Direct like a week or so ago, I felt like, you know what, this is going to be the best time as any. I like the improvements that they did make upon it, and then like what's going to go on with doing that. So let's see what I'm going to do when that comes ahead. But other than that, though, man, I'm doing all right. But how are you doing, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm doing okay as well. Well, I'm glad your dad's okay, first off.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're talking about. Your week's starting off because you missed a couple days of work, and like I had the week off from work, which was nice and very much needed. But like I'm at the point now where it's like the vacation's essentially over. Tomorrow's Sunday, and I go back to work Monday. So I'm in that like depressed zone where like I talked to my mom, and she called me and stuff. I haven't talked to her in a little while, and I'm like, how was your vacation? I'm like, oh, it was all right. I mean, it's like first world problems here, but it's like, yeah, it was okay. It was just like, by like Thursday, I was just like, I don't want to go to work, but I'm kind of over being home kind of thing. Where it's like, I didn't have anything to do. I wasn't going anywhere, or anything like that. It was just like sitting on the couch, and it's like, after a while, it's like going to watch so much TV. You can actually only play so many video games, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like kind of stuck because like, man, I really wish I was just almost rather just had these 2 weeks to like, or these last 2 days, like Thursday, Friday, because my work, you had to take like a week off at a time. So like, but I wish I could have just taken like, had like a 5-day weekend and then save those 2 days to have like a 4-day weekend later on down the road. But,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but it was like, it was very enjoyable. It was nice. It's funny though. I definitely feel old now where I was like, oh man, I'm going to stay up late and play games and watch movies. Like there's so many movies I've wanted to watch. I just haven't had time to get around to them because I don't have time to watch. I don't have the time to watch a movie after at night on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I want to watch football. I want to play games. I got other shit I got to do. We got to record the podcast.
That's
like
true.
that. So it's hard to like find time to like sit down and watch a 2-hour movie. I was like, I'm gonna catch up on all these movies I want to watch, and I'm like, but I like to watch movies at night, especially because like there's a bunch of like scary movies out that have come out recently I want to watch, and I'm like, but it's like, I'm feeling old because it's like oh man, I'm getting kind of tired, and I look over and I'm thinking it's like, oh, it's gotta be like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I'm getting a little tired. I look over, it's fucking 9:30. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, what the fuck? God.
Oh, dude, I know the pain because like when I used to work at my last job of employment and stuff, I'd start falling asleep like about 7 o'clock, man. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I sleeping? But then again, I have to wake up like around 4 in the morning and stuff to get shit, and all of a sudden I start getting tired towards that time. But yeah, man, it's like you're getting a little bit tired a little bit earlier and stuff, and you feel like you want to get to sleep a little bit earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been there quite a few times, man. It's like I had to literally force myself just to go forth and just try to fall asleep around midnight, which I never thought in my life I would actually try to force myself to go to sleep at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I'm so used to back when I was a teenager, like staying up till like about 2 in the morning or so shit.
Right. Right. It's crazy. Like think in the summer I would stay up till like 3, 4 in the morning when I'm talking like kid like middle school and shit. Stay up till 3, 4 in the morning playing video games, and then like just playing Pokemon Blue on Game Boy, and or whatever like JRPG on GameCube or whatever,
Oh shit,
and
dude.
like yeah now it's like fuck man and like you'd sleep till noon, but I was like man I'm thinking of that just like that sounds terrible. Like
Oh my god, then like the moments where you try to stay up like 2 days straight or a few days straight or something like that. I
mm,
mean, there was that now, maybe not for you, but there was a time I thought, like young Gabe just going forward and like, you know what? Let's see how many days I can go in a row without going to sleep. It was like
oh no
it was during the summer, it wasn't school time
yeah
or
oh
anything else
yeah of
like
course
that,
yeah
where I stayed up literally for like a day, right? I'm like in the car or something, with my parents and stuff like that, and like I'm in the back seat and stuff. We just stopped at this one convenience store, no longer around, but at the same point, it's like we get a couple things, and I was chewing some gum, and like I was just just going back, and all of a sudden I just fell asleep briefly for like a couple minutes. I'm like, oh God, I feel exhausted.
yeah yeah right and that well now and what sucks now is now that we're in our 30s I know we're still young to a lot of people but that's old to us especially millennials that's old and it's like now that we're in our 30s that's just how we feel all the time like we've been up for a day and a half like no matter what you get 9 hours of sleep 4 hours of sleep doesn't fucking matter you're just tired all the fucking time
We're in that awkward middle period where it's like we're not like old or something like that, and we're definitely not young.
yeah
It's like we're
young
now stuck in the
old
middle of
people look at
everything.
us like we're young and young people look at us like we're old that's where we're at that's the 30s
I know,
that's
man.
the
Just like trying to match the feeling. It's like it just it felt like not too long ago we were like in high school and shit, and we were able to identify with some of our friends and this and that, and all of a sudden it's like you get away from that from a certain period of time. Like for me, it's like I graduated high school in 2006, and it's like it's 2021, and it's getting closer and closer to like say 20 years since I've graduated. I'm thinking like, oh God.
Oh my god, yeah. I remember when I like my high school graduation class. They had like a 10-year reunion, and I was just like, oh my god, really? Like that's when, yeah, that's God, 10 years already. And it's like, yeah, now it's your 15th anniversary. This year it'd be 15
Yeah,
years.
15 years.
This year I graduated '07, so yeah, it's like I'm my 14. It's nuts. And it's like it's so crazy to me when I watch college football, and I still look at them like I'm in that age range, but I'm like, fuck, man, I'm like 10. When these guys, when I was in, like, because like I grew up watching college football and shit. So it's
Yeah.
like, to me, they were like grown ups. And it's like, I look at them now, like, I don't even think of them as like, when I was their age, they were in fucking elementary school, which like, I saw a thing where they said that, this last year's, the NFL draft of 2021 NFL draft was the last year that kids born in the 90s will be drafted. So after next year's every kid drafted will be from 2000 or later. So it's like goddamn, that's where we're at now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so funny to think about. And we're at that point in our lives and stuff where we look at certain NFL players that are either thinking about retiring or on the cusp of retiring or in their 30s, and I'm thinking, oh
Yeah,
God, that's like we're old as us, man. It's like
yeah.
it's
It's
fucked.
like Todd Gurley, who was like a really good running back for like a 4 year stretch, and he's out of the league. He was really good, but then he had like he had like he had bad knees, and he's out of the league. He's 25, and people look at him like he's old because he went to the league young,
Yeah.
or he's 26 now, and it's like I saw it the other day. He's like, man, I'm like I was looking it up like because he's still not been signed by a team. I'm like that's kind of weird because he played in the league last year and he was okay, not great, but he was okay. And I was thinking he was like late 20s or something like that. Motherfucker is 26. I'm like what the fuck? It's like god damn. I look at yeah, it's funny like you think about like guys that are washed up in the league now and it's like they're younger than us. It's like fucking Christ. Like we look at them like they're old, but we would love to be their age again.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah, especially like when I got to think about it, it's like the one of the youngest players like drafted in the NFL draft this past year was Trey Lance, right? Where it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's like what 19 or something like that or like
20,
20?
20.
20?
Yeah.
And thinking about that is like he's as old as my like my cousin, my young cousin, my second cousin technically and stuff, and she's like around 19 or 20 or some shit. I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, when this kid was born, I was literally playing Pokemon.
Yeah. This kid doesn't even know what Pokemon is. No ideas. No idea. Whatever. Yeah,
Oh.
it's fucking nuts. He grew up with like Gen 5, and we're like, fuck, dude. It's like,
Oh shit. It's like, yeah, 20 or some odd years or something. I was like about 13.
yeah, right. Oh my
Uh,
god. Yeah, we start doing the math on shit. Like, God, it hurts. But yeah, that's not. We're not here to talk about us getting old and bitching and complaining about being
we're gonna
at
talk about video
at our.
games.
Yeah, exactly. We're not here to bitch about being in our early 30s. We're here to talk about video games, and playing those games in our early 30s, which is it's crazy to think, Gables. We've been doing this over 8 years. It's like, man, we were in our early to mid 20s when we started this. Now
Yeah, we
we're
were.
old. We have gray hair now. Uh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, think about it that way. I
yeah,
still get
yeah.
comments from my mom. It's like, oh, you got some crazy ass white hairs in your beard. Like, yeah, thanks, mom.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I always hate when people like fuck off. Don't point this out at me. But anyways, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. First off, Extra Life. We are now in the month of October. I was telling you we were talking about it a bunch before the podcast about some plans we're gonna do, kind of for what we're gonna do on Extra Life Day, and then kind of we're gonna do like a special like podcast where we like instead of doing it in the show, we usually every year we do it and it's like takes up a good chunk of a podcast instead of like
Right, right.
we're just gonna make it its own separate thing. Where we're gonna talk about like tips, tricks, surviving Extra Life, and our past experience, things we've learned over time. We're gonna do that in a week or two, and that'll go up towards the end of October. But it's funny, like I keep seeing all these like everybody like on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter like posting how excited they are because it's Halloween. I'm like, man, I got chills over here and excited because I know Extra Life is a month away, so that's where I'm at. When I see October, that's immediately what I go to. Is like I look forward to it all year round, but it's like it's when it's like it really it feels like it's like being a kid and like this. It's like Thanksgiving's over. It's like oh man, Christmas is coming up. Got a month. That's the way I feel about Extra Life as an adult. But that is coming up November 6th. Go to extra-life.org for more details. But basically, people play games for 24 straight hours. We raise money for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You get to pick any hospital you want to pick in the United States and Canada. If you guys want to participate, please go check them out. This is a really cool thing. They've I think this is year 13 of theirs, year 12 or 13, I can't remember. This will be my 11th year. This will be Gables' 10th year.
Yep.
And you pick a hospital. I pick Iowa City. The one, if you ever watch Iowa Hawkeyes play, every home game at the end of the first quarter, they have the Children's Hospital right across the street from them. And at the end of the very first quarter at home games, everybody turns around and waves to the kids because they actually they added on to the hospital, and then you can actually the kids can actually watch the Hawkeyes play every Saturday, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm going to. Gables does Seattle.
Yep. Seattle Children's.
Yep. So, but that's what our picks are. Like I said, you can pick any hospital that you want to pick in the United States or Canada. If you want to check, like I said, you want to sign up. You have people that you think might be interested in this. Extra-life.org. It's a really great charity. Raised over, like I said, over $87 million. And I believe this will be its 12th year. So doing really great. Hopefully we can get every year they've done it. They've broken the previous year's record. So good chance they'll break 100 million combined this year, which is
Here's helping.
we don't have a total yet for this year. So they usually don't give us. They don't usually tell us till usually. We usually don't see the number until around Extra Life Day. So that's November 6th. But you can do it any day. But yeah, we're gonna be hounding on this. We're gonna be talking about it every week. But yeah, just want to get that out there. It's a great thing that we do every year. Next up, Gables and I had our bet we made a couple weeks ago about PS5 Showcase, where we made predictions. We both sucked at it. We went 0 for 3 each. And the loser had to play The Maze, which is a really terrible game that Justin, my best friend and former co-host of ours, and I are both in the credits for this game. I actually bought it on Steam of all places. And I started playing it. I started playing it. I've actually beat this game on Wii U when it first came out. But I'm replaying it now. That was like 2014 though, so it's been a long time. And yeah, so I did that part one. I played a little over about an hour, 15 minutes of it. Gables, it's worse than I thought. It's worse than I remember. It's so bad. And then
It's
I'm playing
worse
with
now that it's older.
yeah, and I'm playing with mouse and keyboard. This game was old in like 1987. So that's just like now it was just a 2014 game and it feels old now. It felt old like 20 years old then. But yeah, it's I'm supposed to play with keyboard and mouse, and let me tell you, it's not great. It does not work. Maybe well, I don't play with keyboard and mouse, so it makes it even harder. Platforming is way more difficult in this game. It's just it's a bad time. It's a very bad time. But I streamed it. It's on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. Uh, you'll see it's one of our latest videos. I even made like an actual like photo. My shitty on the toilet photoshops I do in 3 minutes. I did a thing for that. It's on there, so the thumbnail is so it'll stand out. Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing through that. I think though, luckily Gables, I don't think we have to beat every single maze to finish the game.
Oh, thank God.
Well, I hope that's the case. I'm not. I'm doing the bare minimum until I beat the last maze. So I made like there's 3 worlds. Well, there's 4 worlds. The fourth world's a bonus world, which fuck that. I'm not doing it. But there are 3 main worlds in the campaign, but there's no story or anything. And each one has 8 levels in it.
Oh.
But after I beat 6 levels in World 1, they let me go to World 2. So if I could, I just want to do the bare minimum to beat the final world. So yeah, there's that, and then we'll get to that later. I had a question about the rest of the year for us, but we'll get to that here a little bit later. But we want to let's get into the news, Gables.
Yay!
I want to talk about all that fun jazz. So Gables, this week marks the 25th anniversary of the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
So I thought because you put it in here, I thought it'd be kind of fun though, like to talk about like what are the things that we our memories of N64, and it's kind of like let's celebrate a little bit about the N64.
All right. So to put things into perspective, the first time I got an N64, I was 10 years old, and this is back around '98. And the thing was about it is I first time I ever heard about N64, it wasn't in a magazine. It wasn't like say in store or something like that. It was actually on Nickelodeon because at that time, around '96, before the launch of this system, there was a contest that was being advertised in Nickelodeon, and it was advertised in correlation with a kids show at that time by the name of The Secret World of Alex Mack. Now,
oh my God. Okay.
the thing about this was they were advertising that the people that would enter, they have a chance to win Nintendo's newest system, the Nintendo 64. And I thought to myself, Nintendo 64? Because I've been playing so much like the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy and stuff like that. But flash forward, a lot of my memories in regards to N64 is when we got it originally. Like when we did get it originally and buying Super Mario 64, I could not wait to get back home and stuff in order to play the damn system because literally I was back in the back seat. I had my brothers with me and stuff, and I was holding the box, and I would be scoping this box out. I'd be checking all the various fonts and everything else and stuff, the little advertisements for the games in the back of the system, this and that. And during that night and stuff, each one of us took turns playing as Mario because at that time it was one of the first like 3D platformers that was actually decent. Like you had Sony that previously tried to 3D games and stuff with Jumping Flash and stuff, and then like some other attempted 3D things, like say on the Super Nintendo would say like Star Wars or Stunt Racer FX and stuff. But yeah, we spent so much time playing Super Mario 64 that night, making Mario crash in the walls, like doing jumps like off the cliffs and all this other shit. But the thing about the N64 I remember is there were a lot of great experiences from games I never even thought about. And a lot of my gaming tastes came from this generation in general. Because before then, I had never played a Legend of Zelda game. I never played like anything in regards to some of the wrestling games at that point, or even like certain sports games. This was a system to where my older brothers had the PlayStation. They had the PlayStation 1 and stuff like that, and their set of games that they would play. My little brother and I, we had the N64. And so it's like we had Mario Kart, and gradually we'd start going into a little bit more of like the games that we want to play. And so a lot of my times and memories spent playing is like games like Super Mario 64, like WWF No Mercy, like WrestleMania 2000, WCW NW Revenge, you know, a lot of wrestling games because I was a huge wrestling fan during the 90s too. If you were a kid growing up, if you were a teenager into the 90s and stuff, at some point you would have watched professional wrestling because there was some great shit happening at that time. but uh, but yeah, a lot of my experiences like that, like playing Ocarina of Time for the first time and getting stuck like at the third temple and stuff like that for a Jabu's belly and stuff, and then like systematically begging my dad to buy the player's guide for me because I couldn't fucking figure it out.
Yep. Yep.
And he ended up doing that and stuff, like a $20 guide before Nintendo discontinued the shit. And so I kid you not, it spent like 3 years as a kid replaying and playing through like Ocarina of Time and stuff, only to get stuck to Jabu's belly and then just quitting for like a good solid. That's why it took me like about 3 or 4 years to beat Ocarina of Time when I first played it. But oh god, this the multiplayer aspect, playing GoldenEye, playing
Yeah.
Perfect Dark and stuff with my older brothers. Like here we are playing like co-op, like couch co-op, right? And we're playing GoldenEye, and my brothers be getting systematically pissed off because I choose Odd Job and stuff, because
Dick
he was the
move.
shortest. He was the shortest one. You could hardly like aim and shoot as it was with the C buttons because this is before the whole advent of dual analog sticks
Oh
for
yeah.
controllers. And so basically, for those listening that don't understand what I'm talking about, it's like for the N64, you didn't have dual analogs. You had one analog stick with C buttons, and the C buttons would be the ones you had to control the camera with.
Oh, so terrible.
Oh yeah, it's terrible now, but think about it back then. It's like we had to get used to that whole control scheme, and a lot of us got used to that control scheme. But God, Smash Brothers, like no Mercy stuff. I mean, God, even the Pokemon Stadium games and stuff. That's the thing. When it came to the Nintendo 64, that was my first hardcore Nintendo console, really, because I play games to the Super Nintendo. I played mostly Mario stuff and whatever type of like licensed titles that my parents would buy me at the time. But as a teenager, this was like pretty much that one console that I enjoy the hell out of, and I still have a consistent library of 20, maybe 25 games that I love playing through every once in a while. God, dude, it's just one of those things and stuff to where that system in general only had in the US like 200 and some games, really, and like
Mm.
out of all of those, I could argue that maybe there was like 20, potentially like 30 some odd games that were actually worth playing on that system, but yet the games that we did play were fantastic.
Yeah.
And a couple
Yeah. There's
stinkers.
yeah. There's definitely a big uh bar, but like a big drop from like the top tier to like everything else. There's very
Oh,
few things in the middle. It's basically like all time classics, garbage.
oh
Like
yeah,
there's like it's funny when they had the direct last week and they showed like all the games coming out launch and then the
yes.
games coming soon and it's like probably combined like 15 games. I'm like, yeah, pretty much covers everything.
I'll
Like
tell you what, man. It's
the,
like that's what my main thought too. Besides Winback, that's a game I never played back then.
yeah.
All of those games that they had mentioned, I've had systematically I own or I've played through to death on that stuff.
Yeah.
Originally on the N64, which I thought that's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like the only thing there that's missing, and obviously it can't happen, is like the WWF No Mercy, like those games.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like those games obviously will never happen. But yeah. I don't know. Like the N64 is kind of a weird generation for me with this, where like, um, I remember we had one and stuff. I remember like because I was like 7 when this thing launched, and I remember my so I probably told the story before. I remember my parents, my dad, like I remember like going to GameStop with my our EB Games actually. No, Funko Land, um,
Mm.
at like the mall here, when that was still a thing before GameStop bought it, and we go in there and like I remember like going with my dad day one. He bought like PlayStation, the PS1. But I also remember like day one him buying God damn, what's this Sega? Not the
Saturn.
Dreamcast. Saturn, yeah. So we bought the Saturn like day one. My dad did, and I
Shit,
remember it
dude.
was, yeah, it was terrible. We never like. I think we put like we had like a demo disc. Had like Bubsy and like Panzer Dragoon and shit on it, like,
Okay,
and
okay.
like a couple of boxing games and shit. But it was like it was. We never played it. My dad and his best friend at that time were always over playing games and shit. Like they never played it. So I remember like I think it came like in '95. I want to say, or maybe '90s. I can't remember.
It
But I
was
remember like
95, but
95.
yeah, that was so
Okay.
notorious back then because the Sega Saturn and stuff, it released way too early. And
Yeah.
a lot of the games did not make it to launch and stuff. And so for that first year or two or something like that, you hardly had anything to play on it.
Yeah. So I remember like the following winter. So the Christmas after. So Christmas '96. We've had it for a year plus. The stream. That's or the
Saturn.
Saturn. And I remember my dad calling like Target, and he's like, "Hey, my dad bought this for us for Christmas, but he meant to buy a 64. Can we exchange this?" And like my dad, like he saved the packaging, like everything was like pristine condition. He cleaned up the set. I mean, the Saturn just sat there collected dust for months. We never played it. Like I mean, I wasn't a big gamer back then. Like I became a gamer like late '90s with like Pokemon, Metal Gear. But
Yeah.
I still, you're a kid. They have video games, you play them. So like I remember him like crying in the living room and he's calling Target and like thinking they're gonna go to jail and like go, like I'm gonna get to be like go to foster care and shit because like my dad's like lying about this. And I remember my dad putting it back in like pristine condition back in the box, and even to like just kind of like sell it a little bit more, he put a little piece of tape with like a ripped up little tiny piece of wrapping paper on the box and make it look like he just opened it on like the day, like because this is the day after Christmas.
My God.
And yeah, so I remember my dad, they went, they it's like, I remember the Target guys like I don't even think we sell the Saturn. It's like so, but they bought it and like it was crazy. I can't believe it worked. But I remember my dad,
I don't even think we sold the Saturn.
yeah, like that's how bad the Saturn was. It was like a year and a half later, the thing was already like dead. Um, but I remember like my dad, they went and exchanged it, and they bought Star Fox 64, and they bought the new Madden 97, and
Oh,
because that was like my parents, my dad, uh his best friend, they'd always like would play like Madden and like boxing games, like they played a lot of sports games basically. And I remember like having that and playing like Star Fox 64 and stuff like that. Like I said, I wasn't a huge gamer then. Like like I was a kid, so I played when they were there. But like we didn't have Mario because like that wasn't like my dad's games. I do remember like like Pokemon when Pokemon came big here, like getting Pokemon Snap. And one of my fondest memories actually of the 64 isn't even me playing it, but like I remember like in the winter, my dad and his friend would like they work construction, so in the winter you couldn't work, so they get laid off in the winter and collect unemployment.
yeah.
And so I remember one day coming home from school, and it's January, February, they're not working. Coming from school, and like when they wouldn't work, my basically my dad's friend like he just basically he was there 24/7. They would like stay up late, play video games, go to bed, wake up, play video, like that's all they did all day. My parents, when I was born, my parents were still like senior year of high school, so
Oh, yeah.
at this point my parents are like mid 20s, early 20s. um and so like I remember coming home from school one day and they rented Pokemon Snap for me. I remember
Oh.
coming home from school one day and they were sitting there playing Pokemon Snap. Two guys in their mid 20s in like 97, 98, I don't know what it was, playing fucking Pokemon Snap and like having like I'm like, "Oh my god."
You think that's funny now, but then you flash forward to you and I or something like that this year. We're in our 30s playing Pokemon Snap, new
Yeah,
Pokemon Snap and shit.
right? But it's like we grew up with the nostalgia of it. Like these
Well,
guys, like
yes, of
this is
course.
like brand new thing. Like they have no nostalgia for this. It was just funny to me. But like a lot of my like N64 stuff is like later on. Like I remember like Justin having one and like
Ah.
at the time too, and they had Smash Brothers and like
Oh
getting to play
shit,
Smash
yeah.
Brothers and like I remember my aunt had it at her house, and they didn't have a lot of games for it, but they had like Mario Kart and stuff because like
Oh, that's
my
cool.
my dad's best friend ended up like dating my aunt, and
Oh,
so like he had a 64 there, so we would like so I like he had like Madden and Mario Kart and shit like that. So I play it over there, but like I remember like I have like I had a Super Nintendo when I was a kid, and like I still had that in my bedroom, and I play like Mario Kart was like my thing back then. Maybe this is this is where the seeds were planted of me destroying children in Mario Kart. But yeah, so like I remember like a lot of that, but like it was really later. I was like almost like an adult, like playing it more and more. Where like I had like one of my best friends at the time. He was really big, and like they were like really big. Like this is like late GameCube Wii days, where like we've had like you know Smash has been out. What was it? Brawl, was that the Wii one?
Brawl was Wii, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember this one. So this is like post Brawl and everything too, where like they were still playing Smash Brothers in 64, and like they had a, like my buddy had a 64 in his basement, and like there's a few like they weren't really gamers, but they would play. Like this was like they were big stoners too. So like there were like three of them. Like Justin and I were huge gamers, and like we would obviously were playing the latest uh, Wii games, GameCube games, shit like that. And but they were like like they just played Smash on 64. So like they would like if we played like Smash with like on the Wii or GameCube, we whoop their ass, no problem. But if we on 64 though, like they played the shit out of it. So like whenever we go over there and play and stuff, like they would like always whoop our ass. Like that's all they ever wanted to play. And like we played like a lot. Even I remember as late as like 2010, 2011. One of our buddies was getting married, so we had a bachelor party, and we actually set up a TV. Like a bunch of us were living together, and we like set up. We even like made a makeshift like beer pong table. We had like there's a bunch of us over like at this like probably 20 or 30 of us at this bachelor party, and we actually set up this like little area off in the corner where we like he wanted to play. He's like, dude, I want like you have to have Smash there on 64 because he'd always come over and play with us, play too at my buddy's house. So we had a little corner where like people like all night were just like passing the controller on 4-player playing Smash Brothers like that. Like that's how big of a thing it was. So like a lot like I definitely like I played like Pokemon Snap, but I didn't play Mario 64 until DS. I remember when I got it for launch on the DS, and that's when I beat it was on the DS version. But yeah, like that, because like I said, I wasn't like a huge gamer back then. Like like I like I said, if there's a video game there, kids are gonna play it. They don't really care what it is. Like I talked about, like the very first game I ever played was Friday the 13th on NES.
Well,
so,
yeah.
So like, and I played a bunch, but it was like because I was like, they had Super Mario Brothers and they had Friday the 13th. Those were my two options. I remember this at my other aunt's house. That's what they had. So like, yeah, so I definitely missed it. I remember playing like Pokemon Stadium and shit. I remember as a kid, I'm like, this is not very good. I remember my parents rented it for me, and the only reason I wanted it really to play it was like I wanted the little thing that attached to the controller so you can play the Game Boy games on your TV.
Yeah,
like,
that was the best part about it.
Yeah, right. And I remember like you had to like buy Pokemon Stadium. You had to buy the adapter separately.
Yes, that's the thing back then, Tyler, where it's like when you bought Pokemon Stadium for the N64 brand new, it's like you would get a transfer pack. And quite honestly, I still have that transfer pack this day because I use it occasionally for Pokemon Stadium 2, right? And even for Mario Golf, because you could actually transfer a character from the Game Boy Color version to the 64 version. Those were things that I remember most about the N64s. There were some like odd things you could do with the transfer pack. Like you could transfer Pokemon to and from your Pokemon games and stuff. So with this original Stadium, Red, Blue, and Yellow for like the Pokemon Stadium 2, Gold, Silver, and Crystal on top of playing the original games, and you could speed them up. But it was so finicky. Even if you say brushed the transfer pack, it would automatically like have a like connection error or some shit. Like it was not like say the best in terms of the emulation side of stuff. But at the same time, you had a chance to just play through Pokemon on your TV screen,
Yeah. Because let's face it, Pokemon Stadium, kind of a shit game.
It honestly is a shit game if you don't use your own Pokemon from the Game Boy games and stuff and have to rely on the rental Pokemon, which I agree is garbage.
Yeah, I just like I remember like renting it and I was just like, this game is just not fun. It's not fun at all.
The mini games
were. The best part about the Lickitung and Rattata game, fucking.
Or the Kakuna one too, dude. It's like the Sandshrew one. I mean, I love those mini games.
Oh my god, the Sandshrew one. Fuck yeah, man. God damn. I remember like yeah, I remember like I can't remember where I got it from. I think I borrowed it from a friend or something, but I had a 64 like when I was
Hmm.
like a teenage years. Cause I remember like
Yeah.
I bought it at a game place I used to work at. I'm not gonna give them any advertisement whatsoever because I hate that fucking place. Um, before I even worked there, I bought one for like $10,
Uh-huh.
and like that's how cheap the 64 was. It was like I could buy it for $10 fucking. And if you wanted the expansion pack, it was $15. So imagine this. This is like 2005 2006. I remember I had that. And I think I borrowed Pokemon Stadium from a friend, and all I wanted to do was just play the fucking mini games. That was the best part about that fucking game. So
Oh man, I remember playing through and beating the original Pokemon Stadium. I had my own crew that I transferred for the Game Boy and stuff, and I went through the whole like gym trainer, like all the way to the Elite Four. And the thing about it was, you got like a special Pokemon after beating that entire thing.
hmm,
I'm not too sure if it was Mewtwo or something like that, or whatever the hell. But no, Mewtwo was the final boss of that entire thing because after you defeated all the gym leaders in like the Elite Four and the champion, you have to have a special battle against Mewtwo, right? And you used your entire party of 6 against Mewtwo, and he would be like super strong and stuff, like about level 100. And bear in mind, this is Gen 1. There was no answer at all for psychic type Pokemon. The only things you could use that would be super effective against psychic types are bug type moves and quintessentially like ghost moves. But then again, the ghost moves, the ghost Pokemon back then were part poison, so they'd be weak to psychic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It sucks. I never got the chance to. Because remember when you rented the game, you didn't. There was no way of getting the thing you can use to play your. Because there was
Right.
that like the thing that you attached to put your Game Boy games into. But yeah, yeah. So I never got a chance to do that. I wish that was always. But I don't know. Maybe one of these days the Switch will add Game Boy games so I can fucking play goddamn
That's very
yellow and
possible.
blue, gold, silver on my fucking TV. That'd be glorious. But let's move on to some of the news, Gable. So it was kind of like starting off kind of a slow news week, but the last couple days it is kind of blown up a little bit here. So kind of a quick one here, a little bit where Loose Studios, the people that are making people that did make Destruction All Stars, which was like kind of a really like kind of like a forgotten game, PS5 launch game, or was originally supposed to be a PS5 launch game. This would be like a full-fledged $70 title. Uh, and then like the last minute they like stopped it from being a launch title and delayed it to like I think February of this year
Yeah.
and turned it and then like put it on PS Plus for 2 months and now it's like a $20 game. But it just kind of came and went. No one cared. It wasn't like a bad game. It was a game. But anyways, they are making Twisted Metal. So it's been rumored for a while now that there was a Twisted Metal game in development. Because they're actually making that Twisted Metal show. They're at least I think they're hiring now.
Okay.
I think they've hired a couple. They've announced a couple people that are working on the TV show. They're like actors. So we're in that. So we're quite a ways away. So it sounds like I think we're seeing this like build up where like you're hearing more and more in the back or behind the scenes stuff where PlayStation is trying to kind of like the old school method like back in the day when like a movie would come out, you have a video game come out with it at the same time.
Oh
But
yeah.
hopefully with better quality. It's not gonna be like we're not gonna get shitty games like that. But they're doing the Twist Metal show, so they want to have the game come out around the same time frame to kind of go and coincide with that, which honestly kind of makes sense for this. I think Twisted Metal because we haven't had a Twisted Metal game since 2011, and on the PS3, and that game came out, and I don't. It pretty much died immediately as soon as it came out. I think the game came out, and then like, what was it? I think the studio got shut down the month after they closed the studio the month after the game got shut down or the game came
Oh
out.
yeah.
So I can't remember who but David Jaffe, who was one of the co-creators of the game, uh, really oddly, he's just the more he talks, I just kind of he's one of those people like I'll see pop up on like Twitter or like I'll see like when I go pop on YouTube or something like that. I see something about him, but he does like podcasts and Twitch streams now and shit like that. He did like this weird like threat thing towards PlayStation where he's like, they should have came and talked to me about this. I know where the bodies are buried, but I'm professional enough to never say where those bodies are at, which is weird because like if you're not gonna say, why would you bring it up? Also, it's like you don't own the rights to this thing. I mean, I understand, but it's super fucking weird. Um, but yeah. So, anyways, Lucid Studios is making a Twisted Metal. Um, I don't know. It was like I was never a Twisted Metal fan, but even back in the I remember having it on PlayStation
Hmm.
back in the day, and like I even back then I didn't really care for it. I don't know. What's your thoughts on there being potentially a new Twisted Metal coming in the next few years?
Let's see. Having previously played one Twisted Metal game, which was Twisted Metal 2, I did end up playing a fair amount of that game, but it was more or less when I became an adult and not back when it first released. What I would say is like I hope that with a potential new Twisted Metal game coming out, that it brings the best of, say, Twisted Metal 2 and especially Twisted Metal Black to the foray and stuff, because a lot of those are fan favorites for good reason. Is because the story, if they match the things like the story and stuff being dark, foreboding, and stuff like that, kind of gruesome in some bits and pieces and stuff, I mean, I could see that potentially working in a modern day setting. But the gameplay's got to be there. It's like we are in an
Yeah.
age and stuff to where you see games like Rocket League, right, where car combat could actually be a pretty fun goddamn like genre to go through. I mean, hell, even like the freaking Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck was available inside of Rocket League for like PS4 and stuff like that. I loved
Yeah.
playing that. That was my favorite vehicle to play as, because it's like, yeah, fucking Sweet Tooth's like ice cream truck and stuff. He's like one of those main antagonists and stuff inside of Twisted Metal 2 and shit. And it's like, I would personally love it if, say, they were able to create this game and have it be like better than what they originally did with the previous games in the series. As long as it like has playable parts and stuff to where you have like separate stories based upon certain campaigns of each character, and you get a little bit more into the mythos of some of them, because some of the mythos of the characters from, like, especially the older Twisted Metal games, they're fairly dark. It's like, oh gosh, I can't remember a lot of them off the top of my head though. But it's like, but then again, I've only played maybe Twisted Metal 2, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember just playing like I think I played it was probably two back in the day, and then like I remember like playing Twisted Metal Black a few times. I don't remember. I remember playing it. I don't remember how I played it though. Probably at a friend's house or something. But yeah, like, and even like the PS3 one that came out, that was like early days of like online being a thing, and that was like
Oh yeah.
even back then it was like a couple months after the game launched. Now obviously PS3's online wasn't great, but a couple months after that thing came out, that no one was playing
I
it anymore.
actually
So
heard that game was fairly disappointing on the PS3 in grand
yeah,
scheme of things, because there's like maybe three missions, like three campaigns in general, and it was vastly different than what people had thought, you know?
yeah, that game. I think the issue was that game, uh, just was in development hell, and it was kind of like a thing where like it wasn't ready, and then it was like, okay, you've had PlayStation's like this needs you just should have got the pot. It needs to come out now because it's like, and it came out, and like that's like I said, the studio. I remember this vaguely remember the studio getting shut down like
Yep.
right after it. Like I'm talking like literally like less than a month after the game came out, the studio got shut down. It might have actually I think been before the studio got shut down. But
Yeah, I think that's something I remember too.
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, we haven't had one in over a decade, so I wonder like what the IP will mean at this point. And it's like like I guess there's been some talk. PlayStation's been talking about making this a full price game, making a PS Plus game, making it free to play. And it's like I mean we there's online games we talk about all the time. It's probably the hardest thing if you can succeed in it, you can do great. You'll be like Genshin Impact in the first year. I mean, that game came out of fucking nowhere, free to play game, and like the first year now being on. This doesn't even include consoles, just on mobile has made over
Right.
$2 billion. So it's like
Damn.
if you can just have a little tiny sliver of this world, you can make a ton of money. You don't even have to like be the biggest thing. You don't have to be a Fortnite or a Warzone to make money. That Rocket League is doing. I mean, it's still super popular. Don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near what it was, 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
And it's free to play now. But if you can just get a dedicated audience, decent sized dedicated audience, you can just survive and make money for a long time. So I'm curious how it's going to work out. I wonder I wouldn't be surprised if it just turns to be like a online only type of thing, which would
That's
probably make,
fine.
yeah, which I don't know. I don't really know, like just make a destruction derby type thing, but different game modes. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like, I think if they put that as a full price, it's gonna be a tough sell for a lot of people. Another really sticking with PlayStation here. So this finally come after months of basically PlayStation Japan. After PlayStation Japan leaked it by accident, um, finally announced that BluePoint has been purchased by PlayStation. No idea what they paid for him. Obviously, BluePoint, in case you don't remember or don't know, they did the Demon Souls remake and the Shadow Colossus remake. They've done a lot of. They've mostly been a remaster port house. Like they
Yes.
mostly work with PlayStation, but they did like the Uncharted remakes for or remasters for PS3. They did the Team Ico. They did the Ico and Shadow Colossus remasters for PS3 as well. They basically everything they've done the last like decade or more has really since like late 2000s has been PlayStation. Besides that, the only thing they ever did is like they did the Titanfall port to 360, the original Titanfall.
Oh. Oh,
Um,
okay.
so that's the only non-PlayStation thing they've done. And they did the Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and Peace Walker ports as well, or HD remasters rather. Um, so yeah, so they've been a really solid thing. Both of Gables and I had Shadow Colossus and our game of the year, our top 10 game of the year list in 2018. And I remember there's been a lot of concern about Demon Souls because like recently when they bought Housemark, that's when it leaked was when PlayStation Japan said they welcomed BluePoint to the PlayStation family, but they were supposed to welcome Housemark, but instead they welcomed BluePoint, and there was even a graphic, and it quickly deleted it, but obviously it's the internet and that shit doesn't go away. Um, so but when recently they announced like sales data for a lot of their games, like all their PS5 games, like
Yes.
they're talking about how Ratchet and Clank is the fastest selling Ratchet game ever. They're talking about like they gave out like Returnal sales figures. I think it sold over 500,000, and this is like June, July. So which isn't it's a PS5 only game, and it's a niche game, and it's from this Housemarque's first AAA game ever. But there's a lot of concerns because they never gave out sales numbers for Demon Souls. Come to find out, Demon Souls, a PS5 launch game, you can one of the handful of games you can only get on PS5. I think there's like only like 5 or 6 of them. They're PS5 exclusives. Has actually sold 1.4 million copies. I don't
Wow.
know what the cutoff of that is. I don't know if it was like that is like as of this week or this is like as of last quarter or what. But yeah, so obviously doing a lot better I think than probably anybody imagines. It's probably one of the best selling outside of Ratchet. Wow, hit puberty there for a second. Outside of Ratchet, talking about N64, brought me back to my my ball dropping apparently. But probably like try that again. Outside of Ratchet, probably the best selling PS5 only game so far. So that's pretty impressive. But I think it's awesome that they finally are in house. Also, they did announce that they are working on the next project they are working on is actually original content. So they're not doing a remake this time. So kind of interesting how that. Gilles, what's your thoughts on all this?
Not surprised, considering that heavy rumors
Mm-hmm.
plus that leak thing from Japan pretty much sealed it that BluePoint was going to be going forth and being acquired by Sony.
Yep.
On top of that, I'm looking forward to seeing what original content they're going to be coming up with since they've been doing ports for over a decade. And quintessentially, I'm kind of interested in seeing what original content they can muster.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting. A lot of people have pointed this out. They've never once said a new IP.
That's very true.
So they could be making a sequel to something, or I like. It's kind of a weird thing though, where it's like I don't want to get too crazy about it because like, oh, what if they're making the next Metal Gear? Or what? Like, what if they're the ones making Silent Hill? Because we know we'll get to Konami here in a little bit, but like we know that there is a. I guess I don't know if Bluepoint is Japanese or not. I don't think they are actually. Now I think about it, because I know they Konami like Silent Hill is said to be a prominent uh, Japanese studio is making the new Silent Hill. So I don't believe
Mm,
they are because they did a no clip documentary, and the people they were talking to were not Japanese. So I don't think they
okay.
are actually. So now that I talk it out, it's not that's not the case. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting because normally when they say they're typically they say a new IP. So this makes me wonder if like maybe they're like making a sequel to something else or bringing back something else in their own form. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's like kind of a weird thing where it's like you're kind of bummed, but also like because like forever I've been wanting to like. There's been the rumor forever of them working on one like remaking an old Konami game, whether it's Castlevania, Silent Hill, or Metal Gear. So yeah, I don't know. But speaking though of old school Konami games, Gables, Konami is back in the world of making video games allegedly. So this came from Video Game Chronicles, VGC.com. Um, so apparently that Konami is back in the game of making video games, and they're like not so much building like studios within, but hiring studios to make these big AAA, making full-fledged AAA games. A couple of things they're working on right now is like they're making a new Castlevania game. Apparently, that's gonna be the first thing they announce. It's a new Castlevania game. Should be talking about sometime next year. But they're also working on having remasters made of the original, some of the original Metal Gear Solid games. Apparently, Virtuous, I believe, is the name of the studio. Let me pull it up. They are making a full-fledged remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, which is kind of interesting. If all the ones you think would get a remake, I don't think that was the first one, but I have a link here. This is from Andy Robinson. He's the one that made the article from VGC. He said, I've been told the studio behind the MGS project is Virtuous, or Virtuous, I'm not sure how you say it, who recently ported Dark Souls and The Outer Worlds to Switch and contributed in blockbusters such as Battlefield 1 and Horizon. So they've been a port house, they've been a support studio. They've never been like, they've never really made their own. Like this sounds like probably well, definitely is like the biggest project yet. But if for a lot of people don't know, like or maybe don't haven't seen it, but there's like Konami's done like pachinko machines like that. That's kind of been the big thing for a number of years now, and like they basically just kind of like got rid of like doing video games for a long time. And there's actually a Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine where
Yep.
they in the Fox engine, which is the engine that Kojima made for Metal Gear Solid 5, they remade the final boss cutscene in Metal Gear Solid 3, uh, and made it for the pachinko machines, and it's gorgeous looking. And this is like 4 years ago, 5, probably longer than that, when this came out. And apparently they are wanting to remake it in the Fox engine, which that sounds fucking awesome. Uh, I think, I mean, I guess if like it's not going to be one, I guess three is the best bet. I mean, either maybe one, maybe four, but I kind of want. Okay, I want to pull through a couple things. So Konami's premium games output has slowed down significantly in recent years. This is all from the VGC article here. In the past decade, the company has arguably grown a bigger reputation for its pachinko machine gambling machines, then its premium PC and console releases. However, following a restructure, the company's game development division earlier this year, Konami is now focused on bringing back its biggest brands to the premium game spaces. So the first of these titles will be a new Castlevania game, which sources described as a reimagining of the series currently in development. So this is actually internally at Konami, so I was wrong about that. With support from local external studios. There's been speculation that Demon Souls studio BluePoint could be working on a Metal Gear Solid. However, VGC was told the series is actually being worked on the external studio Virtuous, like I just said. Virtuous is one of the largest game developers in the world. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. And focuses supporting on. So they're one of the largest developers staff-wise, but they have always been a support studio for AAA games. They did the Dark Souls remaster, the Outer Worlds, and BioShock collection, as well as working on Uncharted 4, Horizon, Battlefield 1. So I'm just kind of scrolling through here. So like I said, new project is early in development here is the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Konami also intends to remaster the original Metal Gear Solid games for modern consoles ahead of the larger project. So expect to see those soon. Finally, multiple Silent Hill games are currently in development at various external studios. One of these projects was outsourced to a prominent Japanese developer earlier this year. So that's the one thing we don't know. And then another thing I forgot, totally forgot this was a thing. Konami was supposed to be at E3 this year, and then at the last minute pulled out because they weren't ready. So maybe this is some of the shit that was pulled that we didn't hear about. So I mean, Gables, you know, you were talking about at the beginning of the podcast about how you bought the Castlevania, the new Castlevania bundle.
Yes.
How are you feeling about the possibility of there being a full-fledged AAA Castlevania game in the 2020s era?
Honestly, I have every right to be very like curious and also at the same time very like skeptical about this. Only
Yeah,
because this is coming from modern day Konami, the same company that a few years ago re-brought out Contra and just abysmally just shat it out onto the store shelves because
and
quintessentially, not only that, but it was one of the worst games in that entire franchise.
and again last year the Hard Corps, and then also just this month they brought out that the eFootball game that's now like it's just a free to play game.
Hmm.
Um, that came out. I don't know if you've seen the shit about this, but when the game came out, they said it wasn't gonna be ready, but it is buggy and broken to shit. So it's like oh cool, yes, we're getting back these old IPs, but it's like oh man, like you haven't proven that you've changed.
Honestly, the most success they've had in regards to the games that have released in recent years have been collections of their classic games that they made like over 20 or 30 years ago with Castlevania, with Contra, like the Castlevania collection that had all their classic games from the NES and Game Boy all the way up to like God, what was it? The Turbo Graphics and stuff with Ron, like even like with not with like Turbo Graphics. So I'm thinking about Genesis and Super Nintendo more or less, but like that plus like the Castlevania Requiem stuff with Symphony Night and Rondo, and then like the Advanced Collection this month, with the Game Boy Advance games and like the USA port of like Vampire's Kiss or like Dracula X and stuff, and even like with Contra as well, with all the famous like Contra games like from the arcade and then like the NES and Super Nintendo and stuff, even Hard Corps off of Genesis, which is supposedly one of the most like well known and like one of the most like well regarded Contra games in that entire series. And it's like they've Konami themselves, I feel like in this modern day they cannot make a good competent video game because ever since the debacle back around 2012 with Lords of Shadows 2, another
Mm-hmm.
Castlevania game and stuff, they have been on a slide, like a little slide and stuff, until they hit like rock bottom with Metal Gear Survive after the fucking like
God.
when Kojima finally had enough of that shit, and like I could I could be perfectly honest with you. I am concerned that they're trying to reimagine the original Castlevania because for one, I know they own the IP, but I do not trust their direction when it comes to their game design and also in regards to what they'll attempt to try to do. Another thing I could think of is like, would this be console? Would this be like console PC or something like that? Or is this like another mobile game? Because that's also something that is often forgotten about to where
Well,
like Konami also loves bringing a bunch of their games and stuff to like the mobile platform. They did that
yeah,
with classic games too.
they did say though that this is for modern consoles.
Okay, this is for modern consoles. Well, I'll tell you what, I have severely low expectations of this new Castlevania game that they have in development, as is like the remasters of games that you and I personally love in regards to Metal Gear Solid 3, which you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I can understand. I respect that. You want to try to remaster Metal Gear Solid 3, which technically through the storyline
Remake.
is, remaking that, where it's like it's technically the first game in the series in terms of story, the Virtuous Mission with Big Boss and stuff. Well, Naked Snake and stuff, and like I can understand that, but a remaster a remaster in the Fox engine that has potential. I'm fairly more excited about that than opposed to a reimagining of Castlevania because I've seen shitty Castlevania games that Konami's put out, and quite honestly, the bottom of the barrel. But
Mm.
still, it is what it is, man. It's like I will be cautiously optimistic about it, but I am not going to give Konami the benefit of the doubt because I have no reason to trust that they will like release like say a 9 out of 10 or even a freaking 7 out of 10 sort of game in a modern setting. It's often
Yeah,
idealistic to think about it, but at the same time I've constantly seen examples of this over the past 10 years to where they will fuck up something because something is awry or something is not done how it should be.
yeah. No, I'm with you. Like they definitely gotta like I think gotta earn a lot of like the hardcore gamers trust because like we've talked about for years now, really since I mean 5 6 years now since Metal Gear Solid 5 yeah 2015 so yeah 6 years more where outside of like and it was just really because Kojima anything outside that Kojima didn't have his hands on Konami like was just trash and it's like
Yep.
you would see it where like they would whore out their like Silent Hill and CastleVania and all these. So like it wasn't even really developed. Like they'd whore them out to external studios and give them a very small budget with a very little limited amount of time to make these games and poop them out as fast as possible to make a quick buck. And it's
Right.
like okay, cool. Like like instead of like, I mean, which on one hand I can understand, but it's like I, but also at the same time it's like it's short term gains, but like long term you're destroying these franchises where like
Yep.
yeah maybe you cost you I don't know I mean I'm just throwing out numbers here obviously I don't know how much games cost maybe instead of spending it costs you $50 million to make this game you might make 300 million or you can spend I don't know a couple million and you might make 10 million but then like the next time around when you do that you spend $2 million in this game or now you're gonna spend less because it didn't make as much and then you're gonna get less back you just over time you're killing the product you're killing the IP. I do have, I think the remake could be really good, because it's a remake, even though I mean, the remasters think we fine because we've seen for the most part remasters because it's really just they're just touching up the original games. They're not really making any huge changes. Um, I think those will be fine. Like I would totally buy again. Like if they did a remaster of Metal Gear Solid One, that'd be fucking awesome. I think it'd be. I mean, like the remaster of Twin Snakes would be incredible. Um, so yeah, I would be fully on board for that to have the chance to play those games and like look like a 4K Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3 and possibly even 4. That'd be really awesome. Just to have 4 playable outside like on uh, a console that's not PS3 would be fantastic. And I don't have to stream it on PS Now.
Yeah.
Um,
Really.
but another interesting on this is that Gamatsu, which is a Japanese website, who's really good and really usually on point with when they break news on things, is they're stating that Kojima is actually making a Silent Hill game with Sony being kind of the middleman of this. So he's not working directly with Konami, but he is working on a Konami game. So possibly that we are finally going to see. Probably not. We're not going to see the original Silent Hill idea, but we're probably going to see what remnants and possibly what could have been that. So I don't know. I mean, I I would rather he be making Metal Gear Solid 5 Part 2 so we could finish the saga. But I mean, I don't know. It feels like I hope that I think part of us is just wishful hoping that this rumor is true and that this news is true because it just be good to like have like like though this game will have all the chance in the world to succeed because it's Sony's paying the bill for this thing. And Kojima, I mean, I don't like Death Stranding, but like, I don't think it's a bad game. I don't like the game for myself. So like, I think at the very least that game's gonna be quality and it's gonna look great and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna have every chance in the world to succeed. Whereas anything else Kojima or Konami's doing in house or externally that they're paying for 100%, yeah, like you, I don't 100%. Um, I'm not 100% on board. So I don't know. With that news, where you're at with that one, Gables?
Let's see. With the whole news about like the whole
Kojima.
Kojima and stuff like that with Silent Hill, that would be pretty awesome to think about it because even from the PT demo and stuff that him and Del Toro and stuff like that were able to co-develop and stuff, that was an interesting experience to where there's a lot of jump scares, there's a lot of mind fucks, to be perfectly honest
Mm-hmm.
with you, in that regards. But yeah, I would like to see how Hideo Kojima would do like an entire game of say like a Silent Hill. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. Uh, okay. Let's move on here though to some other news. Alrighty. Well, let's move on to some quick hitters here since we are going long. A few things here. God of War Ragnarok, which was obviously was officially delayed to 2022. Um, we figured, oh, COVID, blah blah, game development and how it goes. Well, Christopher Judge, who is the voice of Kratos from God of War 2018, has actually said he like kind of put this whole like tweet thread out where he's like, I'm in my feels right now, and I just want to like talk about this. Where he talked about how like he's like most people that he works with in the business like don't give a shit about you and just move on from you, blah blah blah. And he actually said that the reasoning for the delay was his fault, and like he really respects and appreciates the fact that uh, Santa Monica Studios and everybody was like willing to wait for him to get the better because he actually had to have multiple surgeries. He had to have both hips replaced. He had to have multiple knee surgeries, back surgery. He said like basically at one point he just couldn't walk anymore, and he just couldn't get around without being in pain. So they had to wait. They actually basically waited months for him to get these surgeries and get healthy. So just kind of like a really, I think a really great story out of this, where it's like he talked about like it's like like you said, most people don't. Most studios are like video games, movies, TV, whatever, don't give a shit about you, and he's like, it's just really appreciated all the love and support he got from everybody at the studio. And he even said like he was not allowed to, like he didn't get the okay to bring this up. Like he just kind of like he just mentioned it himself. And this is actually all kind of came out of like IGN did this like March Madness bracket of like the 64 best games of the last 20, like celebrating 25 years of IGN
Oh,
this week as well. They did like a whole like, and everybody, it was a fan vote thing where you voted on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and on their website and everything like that. And God of War was won the whole competition. It was voted the best game of the last 25 years, which I mean I agree with that one. But so anyways, that was kind of what sprung the whole thing along, and he brought this up. And I think it's kind of like a it's terrible these things happen to him, but it's kind of a feel good story. We don't hear a lot of those, see a lot of those in the video game industry.
oh yeah, oh yeah, most definitely and stuff. Wasn't aware that this thing was going on either, but at the same time and stuff, that's pretty amazing how the Sony Santa Monica waited for him all this time and stuff in order for him to heal and to make sure he's healthy and stuff before carrying on with their project. That's a lot of deep respect for someone, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's also very interesting because they could have hired somebody else to do the
Oh,
actual
yeah, quite easily they
modeling
could have.
for him, but like used his voice, but had somebody else act for him. But like it just shows you as well, like fanboying out over here, but like shows you how deep they are in their craft of like you know like no, you we'll wait for you to come back and you can do it yourself kind of thing. Um, moving on here, so Bloomberg came out and talked about how I guess 11 different studios had a 4K dev kit of the Switch, um, and it said at one point they had them, but then they took them back, blah blah, a bunch of little things like that. And then Nintendo on their investors Twitter account came out and said that that is not true. That nobody has a 4K dev kit, and that there are no plans for a 4K model to come out anytime soon. Um, which is funny because so Bloomberg had a report earlier this year basically saying the same thing, and which I do want to point out, like Bloomberg, they're usually pretty spot on about this, and they
Yeah,
actually had everything 100%. Everything was on point perfectly except for the 4K part. That was the only. They had the OLED screen, they had the screen size, everything was spot on except for the 4K part. That was the only, and the fact that it was more powerful. So there's been a lot of talks and rumors about speculating about like, well, maybe the because of the chip shortage and everything going on with like getting these consoles and just everything in the industry electronic wise getting made, the price of it get like it's OLED screens are a lot cheaper than getting these chips. So
right.
basically the OLED was turned like the 4K switch became the OLED switch essentially. Um, so it's very funny though because like people were like, oh man, this I mean the fact that they're saying this on the investor account, not the Nintendo account, says something. But it's like it's very funny because when they when this the first time they came out and said this, Bloomberg did. The Nintendo came out on their investor Twitter account and said the exact same thing, and then a month later announced the OLED edition. So I'm not even trying to. I don't even want to get into this whole 4K thing. I just think it's funny that like Bloomberg doubles down on this thing, and Nintendo and Bloomberg never said that. Nintendo never denied the fact that these never came. No one ever had them. They just said nobody has them right now. So never. They was all everything was said in past tense. Um, so then, like basically kind of left it because you can't lie to your investors. So I think this was a very carefully worded thing. Like I said, I mean this like a lot of reports come out like that 4K thing was out there. They're working on it. They're looking into it, and then we got everything was right, but the 4K part. So I somewhat believe. I think I believe the fact that those dev kits were out there, and then they probably took them back because that wasn't happening. And that was what the whole Bloomberg article was about how these developers don't currently have them, had them. So I just think it was very interesting how everything in the Bloomberg article and the Nintendo tweet was how carefully worded everything was about there was never, has never, or will ever, or whatever have one. So I don't know, Gables, what's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, from the whole rumors and speculations and stuff, and the whole Bloomberg report and stuff, and the track record that Nintendo has had and stuff, it's like, of course they would say that they wouldn't
Yeah,
have this and have that. The OLED Switch releases this month.
yeah.
So why would they
Next week.
want? Yes, exactly, next week. So why would they want to go forth and say now that they have something in development for a 4K Switch and stuff when instead of an investor call or something like that, you want to get the max amount of profit and stuff on the handheld that you're going to be releasing because you want the max benefit. And also, it's like if a consumer, from the consumer standpoint, what are you going to do? Are you going to go forth and get the OLED Switch? Or are you going to go forth and get their next system and wait longer and stuff for the better version in terms of like a 4K Switch that you can take on the go or play on TV or whatsoever? I mean, the the point is clear there. It's like this is obviously Nintendo just saying for like covering their ass in regards to the whole like OLED Switch stuff and doing the typical business thing where it's like, hey, there is a better product coming out and stuff, but we don't want you to know about this right now. But that's
Yeah,
also assuming that one, yes, they are having like a bunch of these dev kits and stuff, like for 4K switches and stuff going to studios and stuff. And if you're like in the studio standpoint, you're not going to confirm that you have any of that type of shit because you're going to risk like severe consequences from Nintendo, legal actions from Nintendo on top of
yeah,
anything that you had working on them could be completely just outright canned unless it comes to multiple systems by chance or
yeah.
something. But to be perfectly honest, I don't know what to think about Nintendo in terms of the rumors any longer because a lot of them, you know how Nintendo rumors are, Tyler. You know, it's like people go forth and say, "Oh, this is going to come out," and like you don't hear anything about it for like the next couple months. Sometimes in the
Years.
occasions, it's like years. But
Yeah,
for this case and scenario, I do not trust a single thing that either side is saying for Bloomberg or in terms of Nintendo because
yeah,
yeah, people have been claiming for months 4K Switch. Nintendo, last time they said something about a Bloomberg thing, just like what you touched upon, the OLED Switch was announced a month
yeah.
later.
See, I lean towards I think the Bloomberg was correct. I lean like especially the fact that they doubled
I
down.
can see that.
The fact that they doubled down on this after Nintendo already came out once and then also announced and lied about that and immediately announced the OLED model. So, um, yeah,
But that's the thing that's crazy in regards to them going off and saying things with Bloomberg and also saying things after what Bloomberg has said right now and stuff. Normally, they're a company that does not comment on rumors and speculations in that regards. I mean,
they'll
that's
comment, but when it comes to the wallet, they will comment.
yes, yes. And in terms
So
of this various report and stuff, which yes, at this point, is kind of on the crux of being like a actual speculation sort of part, but yeah,
yeah, yeah, and like I said, I don't want to like turn this into the whole thing, but it's like
yeah,
the problem
that's
is
it.
with this is like Nintendo is its own worst enemy because they constantly lie to us. So it's like we can't believe them because they lie to us all. Like we just went through this 3 months ago, and then they announced the fucking OLED after they said there's no that this wasn't there wasn't that they after they denied the rumors the first time,
Yep.
and then they announced that. Like there's a story I always go back to that Brian Altano told on that from IGN. He talked about how like they were at, I believe it was the new 3DS. They were at an event before the new 3DS XL was announced. They were at an event with Nintendo looking at the new 3DS XL. While at this event, they put out a press release saying that there is no current plans for a new 3DS model to come out after rumors came out of a new 3DS model coming out. While IGN and several other uh, uh, journalists, people were there, and then weeks later announced the new 3DS XL. So it's like that's the problem. Is like, and it's kind of where the part of the issue too, where like we love them when they lie to us and they bring us good news, but like when they actually tell us the truth and then we don't get but we don't believe them when they tell us the truth, and then we're upset with them because they told the truth. So it's like yeah, I don't know. It's just like double-edged sword because they get away with it when it works, and we bitch about when they yeah. So it's they're a no win but it's nobody else's fault but their own. And then kind of next up here, kind of the final thing. So Tokyo Game Show was this week. Not a lot of like major news coming out of it. Like a lot of like it's like very rarely there is. It's usually like very Japanese focused. Obviously it's a Tokyo Game Show, but it's very Japanese focused. But like Capcom had an event there. Square Enix did. Xbox even had an event there. A few things that came out of it though was like the Final Fantasy Origins Strangers of Paradise game. That's a Team Ninja game. It's coming out March 18th. Monster Hunter Rise, which is a Switch exclusive, is coming to PC on January 22nd. And Scarlet Nexus, which is the, I want to say Capcom, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
Namco Bandai.
Namco Bandai. That game is coming to Game Pass and it's out now. So that was a shadow drop actually. So Xbox continually trying to push in the Japanese market. So and then I mean, like I said, not a lot of major stuff came out of it. That was kind of like the bigger. I think we got a little bit more news about like Forspoken. No Final Fantasy 16 news, and then we had another trailer, and there's a new demo out now on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X for the Strangers of Paradise game, which is funny because that game when that was revealed at E3, it was like the laughing stock of E3, and then the demo came out and it was broken for like a day and a half when it launched. So, I don't know, anything out there that you're like kind of interested in?
Oh, let's see. Honestly, besides the shadow drop of Scarlet Nexus and stuff on Game Pass, it's kind of like fairly straightforward upon stuff. So it really wasn't anything too big and stuff for me, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I think I put like 6-7 hours of Scarlet Nexus. I think that game is really fun to play. The problem is like the story gets in the way. The story is not very good, but it's like Kojima like where it's like 60-40 story gameplay. But Gables, moving on to what we've been playing. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'm fairly fascinated in seeing what you had to play this week.
Okay, so I have played a few games. Like I said, I've been on vacation, so I have been playing a few games this week. So I'll start with Kena. So I mentioned it last week. I played a couple hours of it. I've now actually beaten the game.
Good.
Quick little things about it is a digital only game. It's $40 on PS5 and PS4, and also PC. I think it's Epic Game Store actually exclusive. But anyways, it's made by Ember Labs, which is their first game they've ever done, and I think it's a really great first game for somebody, especially great first game for anybody, I would say. But it's like it definitely feels like like a studio's like first game of a series where it's like, oh, there's a really cool idea here, but they haven't like fully fleshed out and like a sequel.
Right.
You get that sequel of the game, the next one, it's like, okay, yeah, all right, this is badass, this is awesome, and that's what this feels like. It's like it's an 81 on Metacritic, and I think that's like the perfect spot, like a high 80s or high 70s, low 80s kind of area, because there's a lot of really great things here, but there's also like a lot of things that aren't bad. They're just kind of like bare bones or they're not fully fleshed out. So like, first off, like I said last week, it's like if Pixar decided to make a Souls game, where it's very beautiful. It's like graphically, it is stunning. The cutscenes are top notch, like Pixar level. I think the characters are there's not a lot of depth to these characters, but I think some of the stories that they tell. So kind of the main story is if you play as Kena, I do like a word thing in my head to like remember how to say it, but then when I get to the podcast, I forget what I did to
Mm-hmm.
remember. So I'm gonna say Kena, but I know it's wrong. Um, but like she is like she actually helps like spirits get to the other side, like they're
Mm-hmm.
like trapped in the world after they die, and the longer they're in the world, the crazier they get. And like bad things happen. They become evil spirits essentially. So her job is to like bring these like give these spirits peace and send them to the other side. And there's 3 different stories in this game. Like you and like um, like the cutscenes when they do happen, like that's when most of the story is told. Like these stories and like these characters, and like they show you like what happened to them, how they died, what they were doing, what they were trying to do, are like super touching. I think really cool. They just, but they don't really have. There's not a lot of depth to them, you know. But I think like what they're doing is like incredibly cool. But they're not like they don't really deep dive into these characters a lot. But I think like what the story is, it's very cool and very interesting with like these spirits you're trying to help out throughout the game. Like I said, like so it's like some of like the battles and this like the combat is like feels very bare bones at times. And I never felt like I never felt like it was fluid for me. And part of this is like the game isn't super duper long. It's like 9 hours, and it's not. It's even and it's not like very. I would say it's like 50-50 like, uh, like Metroidvania, platformer, and then like the other 50% is combat. So you're not even like
Oh, I
even
see.
out this game. So you're not. It's not like a like you see in like a lot of like games that use like Souls like mechanics or like even like any other game, third person action adventure game where it's like there's not a crazy amount of combat. So like you don't ever really get a chance to like to really become like okay like this button with this button like you're just hitting buttons and you just know what you're doing. You know, it's like I play Madden. I don't even have to look at the button above the receiver's head. I just know that receiver's square. You know, it's like it's just all second nature, all fluid to you. Or like playing God of War or Star Wars Fallen Order, like anything like that. Like after so many hours with the combat, it's just like you just don't have to think about the buttons you press. You just know what they do. And it's just like
Right.
I felt so many times like I kept hitting the wrong button combinations or doing the like I wanted to do this, but I did that. Just kept fucking it up, and it just never became fluid or second. Like was constantly like thinking about it, so I was always kind of playing the game slow. Um, I know like they do add like new mechanics and upgrades later on to it, but it's like so the game isn't like super duper long and there's not a lot of combat into it where like you really become like I said like as they're adding new stuff to the game, you're not like getting a chance to like really use these things fluid. Like there's a dash mechanic that you get like 2/3 through the game, but it's like
Right.
like you have like 2 hours left of the game before like the game's over, and there's only a handful of combat scenarios after that. There is like chests you can find that have like unlockables, but you have to like do like battle scenarios to unlock them. So there's that in the game, but like as far as like in the story combat, there's very little of it. Um,
Mm.
Even with that, I feel like doing a lot of the side missions is kind of pointless in a lot of ways because so like you have like your rot with you that are like kind of like it's like kind of like the Pikmin effect where like they help you solve puzzles or unlock new areas. And like I said, there's like that Metroidvania style where like you can see things like you eventually you can affect these things, but you have to like unlock uh, new mechanics or unlock find more rot to like up your level and they can do more things. But like so there's 100 different rots you can find through the game, but you unlock probably half of them, maybe a little less, just playing through the storyline or playing through the campaign. But like a lot of them, like you just find hidden throughout the world. There's 100 of them, and the more you find, that you go up a level. But after 65, you've hit max level. But there's 100 to find. But I really don't know, like outside of, like the collectability part of it, there's really no reason to like explore and find more. I don't think like you become more powerful because like level every time you level up, like I think like level you find 10 you get to level 2, I think 35 you get to level 3, and then 65 you get to level 4. And at that point you've like hit the max level for this. Um, so like but you're not like they unlock new like attacks and new abilities, but like after that like they don't really do much for you. Like I don't there's
Okay.
no so and then like even like finding like doing all like there's like arrow things where you have to like a time attack where you gotta like shoot all the targets in like a certain amount of time, and like you unlock crystals which you can use to buy hats for your rot, which are it just makes them more cute, which is awesome. But you have to like find chests throughout the world to unlock more hats. And I had like thousands of crystals, and the hats range from anywhere between 10 crystals to 500 crystals.
Oh,
So like I
wow.
had bought every single hat that I found, and I found 3/4 of them, but I still had like you can buy multiple of them each, but like I'm like there's no real like that. That's the only thing the crystals do is buy hats. Like I said, like the hats aren't super duper expensive, and the crystals kind of become fairly easy to find for the most part. So it's like kind of pointless to do all these side
Mm.
content because it just gets you more crystals, and crystals aren't really that important if you're not finding a lot of hats. Even if you find the hats, getting the crystals isn't super hard to get. And then like there's a couple other like I said like they're like finding the finding the hats, and there's like other things you can like find statues that are like spread out and you can like put them back where they're supposed to go or fix them, and it unlocks like the I can't remember what they're called, but basically it's like points you can use to, like there's upgrade trees, and like I said I probably did 65-70% of everything in the game, and I maxed out my upgrade tree like towards the end of the second of the 3 stories of the game. So like I didn't even do a whole probably a third of what there is there for my character, and like I had done I'm getting more of these points for upgrades, but I maxed out my upgrades. So there's like yeah, so all I mean I'm not trying to shit on this game too much because there's a lot of really good stuff here. The game is technically really fun. I think it's really fun to play. I think the world is great. I think the game is beautiful. The stories, the characters are lovely as hell. Um, for $40 this game, I highly recommend this game. I would just say though, like, do not. This is not like a game of the year contender. This is not a 10 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. This is a really solid 8 out of 10 game. I really like. If you like this, it feel. I don't want to say like because it's almost like a PS2 era third person Metroidvania game. Really is the best way to put it. But like, I don't mean that in a bad way. But it's like, yeah, this game is really good. But there's just a lot of like flaws to it. But like I said, there's so many good things there that you can tell that like these like I said, this is their first game ever they've ever made. So you can definitely tell that like, all right, this isn't fully fleshed out, but they are on a path to. I think if they make a Kena 2 or whatever the next game is, I think that game could be fucking top tier, excellent. Um, yeah, like I said, like this game is really good. It's not it's really it's good, just not it's not great. But there's so much potential there, and also they really need to fix the difficulty spikes because like even on normal this game like the boss battles are just like incredibly hard. Like you go from like the like just basic fights with Joe Schmo enemies, like yeah, you gotta be like, you gotta use some strategy and stuff like that. You can't just go hack and slash or do whatever the fuck you want. You gotta be smart, but it's not really like overly challenging. But you get those boss fights, and they just whoop your ass like it's nothing. It's just like a totally different. Like, I feel like I'm playing a totally different game at that point. Like it really feels like I'm playing fucking Dark Souls, where it's like I go in like in any other normal game, and then the boss fights are like, oh my god, I'm like 2-3 hits, you're dead. It's incredible. But like I said, this game is really good. Just it's got a lot of flaws, but nothing like game breaking or terrible. It's just like a lot of like okay, well, all right, not great. Okay, the other game I've been playing, Gables, is I actually beat this one too. Is a game called UnMetal. I had to send you the trailer
Okay.
for this because I'm like I heard this game. I heard about this game a couple months ago. I can't remember where. I think it was like maybe at like a Nindies or something like that, or an Xbox event. Um, so it's basically like a Metal Gear NES Metal Gear parody
Okay.
game. So top down, 8-bit 16-bit graphics, but it's fully voice acted. But like I said, it is a Metal Gear NES parody game. So you play as like a guy named Jesse Fox who is doing the most like rip off David Hayter as Solid Snake voice ever. Um, and I mean, like they do not hold like there's so many like they do not hide the fact they are like ripping off and doing a parody comedy of Metal Gear. So like you play as Jesse Fox, and like kind of the gist of the game is like so he got arrested for a crime he didn't commit, and he breaks out of this prison in the middle of the jungle, a la Metal Gear 1. Um, well, except for the rest part, but he's in the jungle. And then like, so it starts to he's escaped this prison, but you get arrested by the U.S. government, and what you're doing is you're telling them they want to know what happened and how you got to the situation, who you are, what the fuck happened, and you're telling them the story. And there's a lot of like him like explaining things, but you're playing the game, and like he'll jump in. He's like, but he's like obviously lying about a lot of the shit that he's telling these people. So like they'll be playing the game like it's supposed to be like like you break out of the prison cell, you have this guy, you even have like a codec and everything like that, and when it rings, it's basically it's like I don't know how this isn't copyright infringement of that ring of like a Kodak for a Metal Gear Solid because it's exactly the fucking same. Um, but it's super like this game is incredibly funny, but like there's like parts where like he's obviously lying, and like so like there's one part you go into like a sewer. Like there's 10 different chapters in this game, and one of the chapters you're in the sewer, and then like you're just randomly being attacked. Like he's like, oh, you're attacked by human piranhas, and like he's like the guy's like the like sergeant he's talking to is like, you're telling me you got attacked by human piranhas? He's like, yeah. He's telling this whole story about like how a woman was trying to have kids and she had like artificially inseminated, but she didn't realize she was artificially inseminated with piranha semen. And then like this is how it was made. And then at one point you like it's so fucking dumb. And then like what's really funny about this whole thing is like you can actually like decide some of the things that he tells them. So like one point like he's like, I was attacked by, and like I'll give you like 3 different options you can tell him, and some of them like you pick where it's like, okay, I was attacked by soldiers, I was attacked by squirrels. So you get like I pick squirrels 'cause I think it'd be easier. It is not easier, Gables. It's fucking hard. You get attacked by like he's like you're getting to like, and then like it's fucking nuts. It really feels like almost like the Saints Row team made a fucking Metal Gear parody is what it feels like. And like some of it's like even kind of fucksy sometimes where like what if like you get attacked by this like creature, and it's like, yeah, this creature, and he has and it'll tell you like he has, and then like I'll ask you how many tentacles does he have. It says 2, 4, or 6. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna pick 2 because it's like that's a lot easier than 4 or 6. And he's like, he has 24 tentacles. So like, fuck, I've made it harder for myself. And then like you die and you have to go back and like, okay, well I'm gonna pick 4 this time. That's 4 is less than 6. He's like 4 pairs of tentacles. Like, god damn it. So it's like then like you die, you go back, and you pick 6, and now it's just 6. So you thought 2 was easier. No, it's not. It's harder. It's the hardest. 6 is actually the easiest. And then like you're fighting him. And then like you're like he's like you're shooting him with the flamethrower, and he's like my flamethrower broke, so I had to fight this creature with my bare fist. And then you have to do the fight with your fist. It's fucking incredibly funny, and really like the whole thing is just it's awesome. I really like the story. There's a lot of problems with this game. And it's kind of like an issue where it's like it's trying to be a late 80s NES game,
Yeah.
where like it feels and plays like one, which it does. Like it does have a lot of like the 8-bit, like even like you can only hold 2 items at once. You gotta go into your item menu and switch them out. You know, you can only have one weapon equipped at a time. You can only have one other thing, other item at a time as well, like a healing item or whatever. But like it, like some of like the, there's only the only time you can save is you can only save in a bathroom, or you save after you defeat a boss. That's the only time it saves. So if you die, you have to replay whole sections again, which this is what hurts the game, I think, the most sometimes. We're like trying to be too much of old school hurts it, like because the game is always joking with you. But the problem is sometimes the comedy stuff is killed because, all right, that was funny the first time, but now I'm on my 30th 40th attempt at this area, and like that joke is no longer funny anymore. Now it's just pissing me off, and like it's just like I'm trying to like replay this 30-second section to get to this 10-second section where I keep dying, but I gotta go through the 30-second section that was incredibly funny the first time, but now I'm seeing it for the 20th time, the 25th time, the 30th time, and I'm just replaying this section over and over again. And like even like when you die, like you die at a boss fight, and like it'd be great to just like load right there at that boss fight, like that. Like I die there, let me bring him back there. Instead, like it brings you back a minute before the boss fight. So then I gotta walk through, do this whole section again. And it's like not even like doing like you're not even fighting anybody. It's just like walking there, or like there's like boxes you can break or things like that to like find healing items or anything like that. So it's like I gotta do this shit all over again to get back to this boss fight. Do this boss fight. And like some of these like the boss fights are hard, but they're not like they're never like incredibly hard. Like it's like and when you die, it's like okay, like I know what I need to do to get better. It's just everything else is like what makes this game difficult. Where it's just like if you get caught like this, like it turns into like a Metal Gear game where it's like they alert people and they start attacking you. And at this point, like you're fucked because part of the what's really funny about this game is the fact that like he doesn't kill people. So you have a pistol, but if you shoot somebody, you have to use one of your healing items to heal them.
What?
So yeah, so like you have like a slingshot you can use to take, but it takes like 3 shots to hurt them. Um, you have like chloroform that you can use to knock them out. So like I would actually use like so what's really funny is this part never got old for me is that you can use so you or you can also like knock them out with like punching them and shit. You can knock
Right.
them out real fast, but like if there's other enemies around, they can hear it and that alerts them and shit like that. But what I like to use like you had coins and you would throw the coin and like one of the guards like oh a coin and he'll walk over and grab the coin and then you can go grab the chloroform, you drag them and pull them back and knock them out that way. So that was like a lot of shit I would use there. But like a lot of the challenge of this game is like because like I said, if you get caught, you're basically fucked because you can't shoot anybody because then you got to burn through all your healing items to
Right.
bring them back. So once you get caught, you just let yourself die and start over again. And like a lot of the cases are like you can't if you like alert anybody or like you're telling the story and you're telling them I made it through this whole section without raising any alarms or getting caught at all. And like if you get caught in this section or even alert a guard, but you knock him out before he actually puts the alarm on, it's like, well, you said you didn't alert anybody. You're obviously lying here. And then you get a game over and you got to start all over again. So it's like that was a hard part was like getting through the sections where they not so much the combat, but like getting through the sections where it's like you can't like you just can't like you can't fuck up. You gotta do this smooth or like there's like areas you gotta like he's like I made it here in less than 2 minutes and then you actually have 2 minutes to get to this from one area to the next and like trying to do laws where you have to get in the combat and you have to fight these people. You got to do it quickly, but you also don't want to burn. Like I said, the easiest way to get through it is to shoot them, but then you got to decide like, okay, do I want to burn precious time and do it the way where I preserve health and items, or do I want to do it and like take a risk and take my time, but also risk not getting there in time.
Right.
So that was very frustrating. And then also a couple of, like one thing like there's a lot of like random items you can collect throughout the game, and like there's some of them that you just unlock and they don't have any use. You just unlock them. Like you steal a guy's glass eye, never has any point. You just unlock glass eye, which is funny. But then there's also like some items like where you collect them, like you can combine items together. But sometimes you like there's like a way to customize a Molotov cocktail, which you never figure out how to use, but like you don't have to. But there's some things that are like actually like you have to combine these things together to get through the game. There's one section where I was stuck at forever. So like you go like some of these areas. What's really frustrating is like you get to this part where you have to like they ask you questions. You got to pick the answers, kind of almost like a Telltale style game.
Right.
And if you fuck up, like you pick the wrong option, they call you out in this lie. But you're basically trying to like lie your way through the scenario. But like you pick one wrong option, it might be 4 or 5 different choices. You pick any one wrong, game over. You got to start over again.
Oh.
And so that's frustrating. But like there's like one part where like you get to combine items together a certain way. It's like at one point, okay, minor spoilers for this area. So you're trying to like get into like the this base, and you're trying to pretend like you're the pizza boy. But you have to like go to like you have to find this trash can. Know to go to the trash can. Like just search this trash can, find an empty pizza box. But then also on the other side of this area, it's like it's actually one screen. But like in the corner, there's a fire extinguisher. You have to go over to the fire extinguisher, pick that up, and then combine the fire extinguisher with the pizza box and make it look like the pizza box is smoking, like it's a fresh, hot pizza.
Right.
And because otherwise the guy will look and he'll be like, that pizza looks cold. There's no steam coming out of it. And that's how they catch you. So like it's like random shit like that. And like one point, like I got stuck for like 45 minutes because then there was one item I missed in the game, like in this area that I needed to use to get to the next area. So I was wandering around forever trying to find it. And I didn't even know what the item was I needed. I just know I needed an item, and I finally found it. I'm like, oh, this must be the item I needed. So like, there's definitely a lot of pain points like that. Overall, I think this game is. I mean, like it's kind of like the kid thing. I feel like I'm nitpicking a lot of things, but it's very like there was points. I will say this: if I was not on vacation this week, Gables, I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have gave up on this point out of frustration. But because I was on vacation, I had the time. I kept. I'm really happy I beat it because I think this game is really funny. It's really good. There's just a lot of like small things that become big things if you get stuck on this area. If you get stuck in this 30-second area for 45 minutes, and that happens to me multiple times in this game. Um, but yeah, I think it's a really great game. It's like I think it's $16 right now, at
Okay.
least till Tuesday. Otherwise, it's $20. It's on sale right now, for because it just came out. It just literally came out Tuesday. Um, so yeah, I think this game is really good. Like I said, it's a lot of pain points, but it's a fucking blast. If you have any interest, in like something like this, just watch the trailer. And I think I'll tell you if you want to play this game or not. But yeah, I really like it. I would highly recommend it. Like I think Gables, I think you would really like this game because you definitely have a lot more patience for some of that old school stuff than I do. So I think you could have a lot of fun with it. Um, Another game I played, I don't really want to talk about. I started playing a game called Unsighted. It just came to Game Pass on Thursday. I only played the first couple hours of it. But I want to play some more of it before I talk about it. But I played that, and I'm also in the Halo Infinite uh, flight as well. But I haven't got a chance to play it yet. So that's what I've been playing. Gables, what about you?
All right, so I did play a little bit more of Haven and stuff. What I can say at this point is the story is definitely the most fascinating thing about the game.
Yep.
While the other parts of the game are not bad and stuff, like the music, like the exploration and terrain, stuff like that, and also the terms of like the turn-based RPG combat and stuff, it's not bad. It's simplistic, yes, but not like
Yes.
say bad and stuff. I'm already past the point and stuff where I've went across a couple of boss battles and stuff, and I kind of understand what initially they were going for, aiming for in regards to the whole like RPG like combat situation and stuff. So quintessentially, it's basically you have to go based do like different strategies based upon what type of boss you're facing. Like for example, the first one that I could think of is like you have to do like dual like attacks and stuff like duo, like say blasts or impact attacks or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, and try to do a lot of good timing stuff. For the last boss I did face and stuff, you had to do shielding. One person had to do shielding, the other one had to do like some sort of like blast moves and stuff in order to get the enemy like the HP just dwindled away and stuff. But yeah, I've played still like a little bit more in terms of like Haven and stuff like that. What I am starting to notice though is a little bit of like annoying factors and stuff where it's like every time you do leave an area and stuff, there's always this one like these cutscenes and stuff loading into like the other stuff. Now bear in mind I'm playing the game on the Xbox One S and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it's like there are a little bit of load times and stuff that I am coming across while I'm going through different terrains and stuff. Of course I'm glad it saves the game progress while I'm going through and doing that stuff. But when you're going through a different area or exploring different things and stuff like that, and all of a sudden it's like you go to another area and you have to wait for like a good solid maybe 15, sometimes 20 seconds or something to load into the next area, only to find out that throughout the map and stuff, it's like, oh, okay, there was like one item I still need to collect in this area and stuff. And so it do that, and you go another 20 or 30 seconds and stuff into the next
Yeah.
area.
No, I get that. Yeah.
It's that type of stagnation in terms of that stuff where, yeah, that kind of takes you a little bit out of the experience with it. But the thing about the exploration in general and stuff, I did like the bunch of stuff that I was going through and try to search for. So, but at the same time, there really isn't a lot of depth other than like say collecting the rust in regards to try to clear the different types, different areas and stuff. Because unless you're going through and doing the main missions, like the main stuff that you have to do to repair your ship and stuff, there really isn't too much emphasis upon exploring the whole terrain to clear out the rust to begin with, other than just collecting enough resources so you can go and file for your next major repair to your ship.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, it's like I feel like the game is good so far from what I've been playing and stuff. Story obviously is the best part and the most interesting part. I kind of interested in seeing how this game would have fared, like if it was just like say a visual novel sort of aesthetic or something like that, more so than it is. Because even though I am enjoying the game, enjoying the combat, enjoying the bits of the music and stuff like that, you know, there are just a lot of like point A, point B type of stuff, which are okay and stuff, but kind of get kind of annoying, kind of a little bit annoying, kind of a little bit like redundant after a while. Where okay, well, let's go explore this part right here. Let's face a couple of these enemies right here. Oh, I'm being chased by another enemy,
Yeah.
because this and that. But yeah, I still have some bit of interest in regards to going through and eventually playing a little bit more of Haven. But
I will.
yeah,
I will say. Sorry to cut you off. Like, if you're not interested, I was mostly joking about you. I don't want you to feel like you're being forced to play it because of me. Um, it's I definitely I want you to like it because
right.
obviously I want everybody to like the things
Now,
I like.
granted,
But
granted, Tyler, I do like the game. I like the direction that they head for in the story and stuff. I don't feel
mm,
like the exploration, the combat is as strong as they like
no,
that. If that were the case, I mean, hell, I'd be freaking glued to this thing like
yeah,
24/7 stuff. But I'm
uh,
finding it where I'm playing it like between a couple of other games too.
yeah. I just want to like real quickly before you go on to your thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. But like I would say like I'm with you because like I think the combat, the idea of it's really cool. It's just
Yes.
it's yes, it's simplistic. I would love to play a game that uses that, but like more in depth.
Right.
Um, After a certain point, like because I did a lot of grinding and that in the beginning, and just don't do that. Honestly, just I put the combat on easy after a certain point because I just want to get through that part because really, like you said, like the best part is the characters and the story. So if you are interested in like playing this game, do as little combat as you really need to do because it's like you're gonna level cap fairly easily in this game. I level capped super early because I grinded so much in the beginning, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have done that. And don't worry about like getting all the rust everywhere because you don't really like because I did a lot of that too in the beginning, and like after a certain point, I'm like, okay, the crux of this game is the story and the characters. Like just focus on that. I would say honestly, just do like if you are interested in doing this, unless you're really into like all the other stuff, I would say just focus. Like if you are going to continue playing it, just focus on doing what you need to do to beat the game. But I
Yes.
wouldn't worry about like any like all the side shit because I mean there's some cool like story stuff that comes out of it sometimes, but for the most part it's like the best all the best shit is in the main story.
Right, right. I understand where you're coming from that, and that's actually that's fairly good advice and stuff to where just focus upon the main objective in and of itself, which is just the story stuff and collecting the pieces. But let's see. Other than that, I have played a fair amount of Castlevania Advance Collection. Granted, this is pretty much up my alley and stuff. There was one
Mm.
game game out of that collection I dove into right away because I never played it, and that was Castlevania Dracula X. There was the Super Nintendo version that was called Vampire's Kiss in Europe. The thing about it is, this game was supposed to be the quote unquote like answer or something like that to Castlevania Rondo of Blood that was released in the Turbo Graphics or like the PC Engine in Japan. The game that didn't come stateside until like about 2012 on the PSP,
Mm.
technically. So I didn't know what to expect while trying to go through and play this game initially. I had seen a couple people try playing this game and stuff and not enjoy some bit of the games because there are some aspects of it that were fairly annoying.
I've heard this game is terrible.
Right, right. Having played through the game and stuff, it's more so annoying, and there are a lot of level design hiccups and stuff that make this game a lot worse than what it should be. And to be perfectly honest with you, you start off like you would in like the original Rondo of Blood. You start off playing as Richter and stuff, and it's like a desolated like town or something like that. But it's not taken from like Castlevania 2, like the Rondo of Blood is. It's like sort of like a random sort of town, right? And
Mm.
so the thing about it is, it's a straight like it's like a straight like linear path and stuff you get to go to, right? But yet it doesn't tell you this, but like at stage 2 and stuff, you can actually go and take alternative paths like inside Rondo. But some of the stage designs and stuff, and some of the enemies that repeat throughout this entire game and stuff are fairly annoying. Like for example, the Javelin Knight. Now, these Javelin Knights, right, or Spear Knight, what they're called, they're like pink armored, sort of like a knights, right, to where they have a couple of different types of attacks. They can stab you. They can go through if you are on a platform below them, or if you're on a platform above them, they'll go forth and they'll stick their spears upwards or downwards to sort of try to attack you and stuff. I came across a fair amount of them where I'm using the plain whip. There's actually no power up that I noticed for the whip itself. Like, even with the other Castlevania games, you know, if you have the most powerful version of the whip, you're gonna have to get like another power up and stuff in order to help it out. But it took me a little bit to defeat even some of those basic enemies. It took like maybe 3, maybe 4 hits really to try to defeat just a basic enemy like a spear knight. But a lot of my frustrations came from being hit off screen by enemies like that I didn't even know were there. Like for example, there was a stage where I was traveling downwards, right? And when I was going down, I got hit by a fireball from down below. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And I go like a little panel down, and there was a merman that was walking around and stuff like that and shooting fireballs. It's like, how the hell? He didn't give me any time to react to that damn thing. I had to find out through like going down too fast, quintessentially. But yeah, a lot of the boss battles are actually kind of annoying. There were a couple that were pretty cool. There was a necromancer boss that was pretty fun to try to delve around with. The first boss is quintessentially like almost like a Cerberus or something like that. Only it kind of looked like a two-headed wolf, to be perfectly honest with you. But that thing was annoying as fuck because the thing would be bouncing around the freaking stage like back and forth. And speaking of like wolf bosses and stuff, the werewolf boss in this stage, which is supposed to be like a homage to like not homage, but supposed to be like the boss battle in like Rondo of Blood, that thing killed me a whole hell of a bunch of times. Then I I don't know what it was about it. It's like when I played through Rondo, yeah, the werewolf boss would give me trouble, but yeah, I don't understand why in terms of like Dracula X it gave me that much trouble. And more or less it's because it kept popping off new attacks and stuff that I had to try to recognize that it was doing. It felt like the AI was artificially tougher than what it should have been for some aspects of it. Like some boss battles felt like that. But I'll tell you what's absolutely terrible. It's the final boss battle against Dracula. Because here's the thing. Yes, Dracula does have 2 forms by the end of this game. But here's the kicker. The final stage. Here's the set things like you're traveling up the staircase and stuff, going towards like Dracula's like the final boss battle in a Castlevania game, right? And you come across this final room, and all of a sudden you see like these little bits of like platforms, right? And the platforms rise a little bit, and there are pits, like literally like pitfalls and stuff like that. And so it doesn't span from like one screen. You have to travel between like 2 screens, like sometimes in order to try to like it. Let's just say the boss stage, the final boss, like arena, pretty much. It felt like is a lot longer than what it should be. And so sometimes you will not see Dracula on screen while he goes through and launches an attack on you. Now, bear in mind, it's like he can definitely attack you, and it will not be clear what type of the like his hitbox in regards to some of his attacks, like how you can avoid them or how you can actually hit him. But the thing about this final boss battle that I didn't like, one, it was very slow, especially with Dracula's first form. You could hit his head once, and if you miss the window in order for him to like for in order for you to hit him, he'll flash back like to the opposite side of the stage or somewhere else and stuff, and you had to track back all the way back and then wait for him to get open. It's like one hit, and then you have to do this. And on top of that, it's like when you do give him like one hit, only like a sliver of health is drained out of the entirety. So the goddamn first form of Dracula is like a bullet sponge, quintessentially. He has so much health when you go through the first stage of this boss battle, but because I had save states and because I had other things, you know, I did not want to spend a fucking hour on this boss battle. So I went, saved as I go. Yes, I kept getting hit. I kept getting fucking like kickback from being hit and falling into pits. That happened quite a few times. And that's pretty much another thing about this boss battle that was horrendous. It's like you would get hit and then drop down the fucking pit because of the pitfall. No other Castlevania game I can remember where the final boss battle did this. Not even the ones on the NES or even like the later ones, say like on the Super Nintendo. Well, besides this game, but Super Castlevania 4 never did it. Bloodlines never did it. Even like the Metroidvania style games like Symphony of the Night and like Aria of Sorrow and Circle of the Moon and all that other shit, they never did things like that because that was incredibly annoying. Now come to his second form. When I finally did whittle him down to the second form, he has a couple of attacks. One, when he raises his arms, there's like two fireballs that will like fly from his fingers, and you have to somehow dodge them, and they're super quick too. So you have to dodge them, and it will not tell you how many times that'll shoot. Sometimes it's going to be 3 times, sometimes it'll be 5 times or something like that. It was more or less an RNG style of thing to try to avoid. But on top of that, he has this sort of like electric attack once you do hit him a couple times, where it takes off a large chunk. So unless you're able to get onto a platform that's a little bit lower and stuff and crouch so that way he doesn't hit you, you're going to get hit. And considering I had low health to go into that boss battle to begin with, it was so annoying having to go reload a save state, try again, reload a save state, try again. This is the type of boss battle, Tyler, that if I played that as a kid, I would never want to play the game again
Yeah,
because
there's just be a
that's
controller
bullshit.
sticking out of your TV screen.
Well, yeah, because this is a bullshit final boss battle. And I knew when I was playing through this game that I would probably never give this game another playthrough because everything else progressively being and stuff was annoying because of how AI spiked in certain areas and certain boss battles. There wasn't really a lot of creativity in terms of some of the level designs from this game entirely, but at the same time, I can understand why people were pissed off when they got this as opposed to what Japan got in terms of Rondo of Blood. But that was the game I did beat this week. So I can say I have beaten this game.
Nice.
But the other game that I did play, yeah, I started back Circle of the Moon.
Okay,
And
very
that's the
nice.
thing about it. Circle of the Moon, I have heavy nostalgia for because I played it back when inside high school. I love the changes that they made with this game in general. And by changes, they included a couple different things that I pretty much enjoy. One, they actually give you a counter for if you like hit an enemy, it'll actually tell you if it drops a card or not. That is a godsend to me because I do not the previous times I've played through Circle of the Moon, I had to use a guide. I had to guess which monsters dropped what card, and I would usually forget. And what's kind of funny, fairly early on, I had a bunch of attribute cards, like from the get go and stuff. Like there was literally a couple rooms, like a couple enemies in a couple areas that would actually drop one of the cards and stuff. So it was like maybe 3 or 4 hours in, and I already had like about over half of the cards that I need in terms of that because all you had to do was like basically grind on a specific like enemy and stuff, and eventually it'll drop what you need. But I'd end up getting a bunch of powerful like equipped items on there, so I'd actually go through and equip it on to Nathan and stuff like that, so I can go and through specific areas and stuff. But there was one enemy that I had to grind for literally like a half an hour, and I leveled up 3 times, got 2 cursed rings, which actually helped me improve substantially like some of my stats in some area. Well, radically decreased the luck chance. Now, this thing was an archdemon, right? And so the corridor consisted of me pushing this crate, right? Having to destroy what looked like a griffin that was flying across the thing, and on top of that, there's this archdemon that's supposed to be like blocking this health power up, that this permanent health power up. And so I had to double jump over him because he would do this fire attack to where he would do like a scatter shot thing back and forth like twice. So I had to get behind him, hit him about 5 or 6 times, and he would die. I had to repeat this like for a good solid almost half an hour before I finally found the card that I wanted to get. Yeah, man, it's like the RNG. It's like sometimes you'll get the card in a few hits, sometimes it'll take you half an hour. I mean, it's one of those things. I know that that was prevalent in Aria of Sorrow because every monster had something to drop. And I actually completed that game
Hmm.
back in the day. But I'll tell you what, it was such a trip playing through Circle of the Moon, going through some of the boss battles. I've been heavily enjoying playing through the game this time because of not only it being easier for me to collect the cards I need, but also there is in-depth details in regards to encyclopedia in terms of the bestiary, in terms of what monsters are available and stuff from the get-go. Like you press the L2 button, right? And then it'll pop up a menu and you can actually pop up the encyclopedia on what attacks will do what, like for each combination of the DSS cards. Like you don't have to figure it out for yourself or look up a guide or something. It's automatically available when you do the pause menu and do this and do that. I really like that. But also, you go through the BCR, you see how much health is this or that or some, or what button combination you need to do in order to execute this attack. For say, like with the DSS card of Apollo and stuff in combination with some of the attribute things. Because quintessentially, it's quintessentially almost like a cheat sheet, quintessentially. But I do love the fact that when you are collecting the cards and stuff, they are based upon like certain Greek like monsters and also Greek figures and stuff like that. Like you'll have like mythical creatures, say like a salamander or a unicorn or like a thunderbird or something like that. Like these fantastical like creatures. But then you'll have like Greek sort of like gods and goddesses and stuff like that, like say Mercury or Apollo or Mars or Diana or some of that sort, where those combinations will do like a special attack based upon certain conditions being met. Like my favorite one is using a flame whip because that's classic Castlevania. To where if you play Castlevania 2, collect an item, you use a flame whip in order to go through and defeat enemies. Oh god, I am over halfway through that game. I am at level 31, and that was based upon like a week of playing this game. Oh god, I defeated the Cerberus, the Necromancer. Let's see, the Iron Golem. Those three bosses were fine. But when I had to go forth and try to play and beat the zombie dragon, oh god, that thing was a pain in the ass. Because I'll tell you what, nothing is more annoying than having to concentrate on not one but two bosses at the same time. So the zombie dragon, it's quintessentially two dragons side by side. You have platforms in the middle, and you have these two dragons. Their heads rotate, and so basically, what you have to do is you have to dodge projectiles, but on the same time trying to hit and whittle down wipe points of the heads themselves. So you have to have the axe sub weapon with you, and also you have to have an attack like a DSS power up that will hit above you. So for this case and scenario, I was using the Rose Sword in order to try to get more damage at the arc angle of my attack. I had to repeat this like about 4 or 5 times before I was doing a test stream on Twitch while doing this, right? And at the certain point and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go through and try to beat this thing off screen here because it's like I didn't want to go through and just have to repeat this and that. I had two people watching actually. But
Nice. Very
as
cool.
soon as I ended the stream and I go forth my last final attempt, I end up beating the bosses. It took me about a good solid 7 minutes, but I fucking beat the bosses. Oh god, and it's recommended you be at level 25. I think it was like a 23, so I was underleveled. It felt like I was underleveled.
Hmm.
But remaining stuff to go, my main goal of this game, I want to collect the rest of the DSS cards and stuff. I want to beat the other bosses like Death, Camilla, like Hugh, and also Dracula. So, well, both forms of Dracula, obviously. But yeah, you know what? Playing through Circle of the Moon, revisiting that was fun. Playing Haven this week, that was fun, and not so much so for a Dracula X. But yeah, man, it's that time and stuff where it's Halloween. I want my Castlevania.
Yeah. Very good. Very cool, man. Well then, guys, I think is there anything else you want to say? Actually, I'm sorry, Amy. I think I got you off there.
Oh no, man, I'm pretty much done for what I've been playing this week, dude. So let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Alrighty. Well, wow, we went a little long this week. But thank you guys so much for listening. You want to hear more from us? We are on everything. Or if you like this show, please go to our if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, click the bell. Um, our Apple, Google, Spotify, um, any of those places. We're at them. Facebook, Twitter. Like, subscribe, share, 5 stars, thumbs ups, whatever you could do. We really appreciate it. All that helps us out with the algorithm makes it easier for us to be found, seen by more people. Um, Also, I mean, if from this point on, every week, I'll actually be posting the links to all of these places in our show notes. So when you click down on our show notes, if you're watching the video portion of this, or even actually on the podcast version, the audio version of this, in our show notes, you'll have the links to everywhere we're at. Even includes our Extra Life pages if you're interested in donating, which we would appreciate, or even more appreciate if you just signed up yourself and got your own donors, because that's even better to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, thank you very much for putting up with our bullshit. But most importantly of all that, thank you very much for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
And hey, Gables.
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.